guys, it's Aretha with just another quick note from the barn. Today we're just going to go over the basics of saddling your horse, saddling a Western horse anyway. It goes without saying, you're going to saddle your horse from the left-hand side. Here I have a Western saddle and I've got a pad with it. And first of all, I want to show you guys an easy way to toss your saddle up on your horse's back. A lot of times, now this particular saddle is a hybrid, so it's half leather and half nylon, so it's not nearly as heavy as a full leather saddle, but I still want to show you the proper way to lift your saddle onto your horse's back so that you don't throw your back out and you don't get your saddle halfway up there. You know, he's a tall boy, he's 16 hands. So anyway, hopefully this tip will be helpful. A lot of people will throw their saddle and pad up at the same time. I like to do mine separately just so I can make sure the pad is sitting where I want it to on my horse. So I'm just going to lift my pad up. I'm going to put it a little bit above his withers and then let it slide down just a bit. You always want to start a little bit higher than where you intend to tighten the cinch on your saddle, because as you tighten it, the saddle is going to slide back on the horse anyway. Also, when you sit in your saddle, your weight is going to push your saddle down and back as well. Quick. All right, so let's get set up to throw this saddle on our horse's back. What you want to do is you want to stand at your horse's his left shoulder. You want to stand at your horse's left shoulder, facing toward his rump, and you want to hold your saddle with the pommel or the horn in your left hand and the back of the skirting, or you could even come at the back of the cantle or the back of the seat here, and you're going to hold that in your right hand. You do not want to just lift the saddle. Now, I'm pretty tall and this saddle is pretty light, so I could lift it and set it on his back, but for a smaller person, or you know, there are some Western saddles that can weigh almost 60 pounds, I wouldn't be able to get it on his back like that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to give a swing with this saddle, and I'm going to twist at my waist. My left hand's job is to lift the front of the saddle up and steer it. My right hand's job is to push it forward. Okay, so we're going to give it a little bit of a swing. We're going to lift and push. That gets your stirrup leathers flying out. You're going to turn it around and set it on your horse's back. Okay, that will save you in the long run of lifting a heavy saddle. Now, if I could have the camera come just a little bit closer. I want to show you that when I set the saddle on his back, a couple of things happened. My pad slid down, but also if you look right in the front, come on over and I want you to look right down the front channel of the saddle here, you'll notice that the pad is really tight down on his back where I almost can't even get a finger in there. What I want you to get in the habit of doing is once your saddle is on your horse, again, I'm going to pull it just a little bit forward, I want you to lift your pad up into the gullet of your saddle. Now, if you look, I can easily get a few fingers in here, okay? The reason that's important is because we spend a lot of time making sure that the tree of this saddle, or how wide the saddle is as it relates to the shape of the horse's body, we spend a lot of time making sure the saddle fits correctly and that we're not pinching the shoulders or the withers. But if we tighten this saddle without pulling the pad up into the gullet, we've taken the room that we made sure the saddle gave the horse for his shoulders and his withers, and we've smashed it down by allowing that pad to be tightened really tight as we're doing up the latigo. Okay? Alrighty, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get this stirrup out of our way. So I like to just lift it and put it on the horn. There are some hybrid saddles that don't have horns. You can just lay it across the seat of the saddle. You're going to go ahead and pull your latigo down. This is a latigo. Again, a lot of times they are made of leather. This one happens to be made of nylon. I personally really like nylon because I can clean them easier and they're less bulky under my leg. But either way is fine. I'm going to walk around to the other side of my horse, if you'll come with me. I'm going to walk around to the other side of my horse. And over here, I have put my cinch away by sliding it through the keeper here. So I'm going to let it down. Make sure before I go back on the other side where I'm going to do the tightening that the center of my cinch is pretty much toward the center of my horse's belly. I'll just reach under and feel, and that lets me know, this is called the off billet, that lets me know that I'm on the correct hole for this horse's barrel on the off billet, okay? All right, so that's hanging down. We're going to go back around to the other side of the horse. Whoa, easy boy, good boy. Okay. Now, this is an important, easy. Let's have you step back, good boy, and whoa. So this is an important safety thing that I like to teach my students when they're learning how to tack up their horses. There's nothing safe that happens in horses by squatting. So I'm never going to bend down like this, and I'm certainly not going to stand way over here and reach over and try to grab my cinch. What I'm going to do is put my hip next to his right his left leg. Sorry, I get turned around. I'm gonna bend at my waist and I'm gonna reach down and go ahead and grab my cinch. The reason I do it like that is because God forbid this horse spooked or startled and he jumped this way. If I'm already standing on my feet and I'm near him, he might push me aside, but what he's not gonna do if I was over here or squatting down, he's not gonna knock me off balance and land on me. I've got my feet under me so I can move if I have to. All right, so let's go ahead and begin cinching this horse up. So we're gonna take our latigo. You can come a little closer. We're gonna take our latigo, and I really like using cinches that have rollers on them. This one happens to have 2, and that's my favorite. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my latigo, I'm gonna make sure it's nice and flat and straight, and the first roller that you go through is always the one that's at the top of the cinch, the smaller one. So you're gonna, sorry about that, you're going to lace your latigo through here. Okay, make sure it's laying nice and flat. Then we're gonna come back up to the top and we're gonna go through this ring. Okay, and that's our first loop. I do not tighten this tight at all. Okay, now we're gonna take our latigo again, we're gonna come back through and we're gonna go under the second roller. So the first time is the top roller, the second time, and if there's enough latigo that you have to go a third time, all of the rest of them will go under the bottom roller. We'll come back up again. Okay, and make sure that the hairs are laying nice and smooth. Now what you're gonna wanna do as we begin to start to tighten our latigo is we're going to find the outermost loop and we're gonna gently pull it up. We're going to tuck our latigo one more time through the bottommost roller, and everything from here on out is up. Don't pull towards yourself, and pull on the layer of the latigo that you've already looped through. Do not grab the tail of the latigo and just give it a pull with all of your might. Okay, it's rude to your horse, and you're gonna create what we call a cinchy or a girthy horse, in that they're gonna begin to resent when you put the saddle on because it's just rude. All right, so again, I'm gonna take the outside, I'm gonna come straight up, I'm gonna take up the slack with the bottom here of my cinch. Now I'm gonna leave my horse alone for a minute. I'm gonna go in the tack room, I'm gonna grab my bridle, put my bridle on him. So let's just say that we've done that, just for the sake of not having this video be too long. So I'm gonna let him chill and relax for a minute. Then I'm gonna come back to the cinch. I'm gonna pull the latigo up one more time. Now I am gonna begin to pull a little bit snugly, but again, I don't go from 0 to 100. I go from 0 to 20, and then I might go from 20 to 40, and then 40 to 60, and we will get there as far as tightening. All right, we'll take up the slack, and what we're gonna do last. Now, there are different ways of finishing off your latigo. Some people prefer to just put the tab, I guess you call that, I don't know what you call this. They put the pin or the tab or whatever you call it through the hole that they feel is appropriate as far as the tightness of the girth. So you can push it through right there. And then you're gonna take out the slack. Okay, so if you take out the slack, now your latigo will not go any looser than that hole. And that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. What you're gonna do with the tail end of your latigo is you're gonna bring it up and you're gonna slide it through this keeper, okay, so that it doesn't dangle. That's perfectly fine. And you will find this a lot more with leather latigos because again, they're thicker and it's easier to do. I was taught to tie knot like a man's bow tie knot, and because most of my latigos are nylon, I still go that way. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it out of there. I'm gonna go just a smidge tighter. I'm gonna come up to the top, and if you'll come close, I'll show you how I do this. I'm gonna take, most latigos are cut on an angle because they know that people wanna try to slide it into this D right here. All right, so now I'm gonna go into the D ring. It does not matter which side. I happen to be left-handed, so I usually come to the left on the first time. So this time I'm gonna pull it to the left. I'm gonna cross over. I'm gonna snug it up behind the right side here. And then I'm gonna take the tail and pull it down just like a man who was tying a tie onto his shirt. It lays nice and smooth. It's not too bulky. Your knee is gonna go right here. So it's not too bulky. You can let your stirrup down and your horse is ready to go. Now, before, I do wanna say one more note. Before you climb on your horse, let's say I'm over in the arena or I'm getting ready to go on trail, I've bridled him up, I'm ready to mount my horse. I'm gonna check one more time as I've walked him from point A to point B. A lot of horses bloat or expand their rib cage so that when they think you're done tightening up, it's looser than you would want it to be. So I'm going to check it one more time. Then I'm going to walk my horse a step or two. The reason I do that is because, God forbid, that very last time that I tightened my latigo, I caught some loose hairs. I don't want my horse to be pinched, and I certainly don't want to step on top, have them walk off, have that loose hair get pinched, and then I got a bucking bronco on my hands. So I always like to just walk them a step or two once I know that my cinch is right where I want it, and then I'm ready to go ahead and mount my horse. One last thing, you do not have to tighten this cinch so tight that there's just absolutely positively no give. That's also rude. It will cause rubs and galls, and your horse can never relax. You got to remember that part of keeping your saddle where it belongs is your balance as a rider. Thanks a lot, guys. Hope that helped. Have a good day.